We are talking about health and wellness today and all the aspects that come with it, physical, mental, and spiritual. Listen to part 1 of Joy, Health, and Wellness.
Happy New Year, Carol.
Happy New Year! I can't believe it.
We are already 7 days into 2025.
Woohoo!
Can you
I should
believe
have brought
that?
my blower. Okay, there it was, my make-believe.
I'm wearing my funky hat, my psychedelic glasses.
Yeah.
Remnants from our New Year's Eve party. Not really. I don't know, maybe. It's just, it is a new year. And I think when we think about New Year, sometimes I feel like fall is a new time of year. When we start into that school year, it feels like a reset almost. But I know a lot of people look at January in the new year as a reset time too, which is great. I also think we often go to health, right? Health and wellness, exercise, eating right, getting back from the yumminess of Christmas and Thanksgiving food. And, we have 3 holidays that just go boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah, and there's a little bit of food in there for sure. Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, you probably still have cookies from your Christmas baking in your freezer or in the cupboard.
Right.
I got to tell you a little story. So my aunt used to invite me to a Santa Lucia event at her church. And it was so beautiful. It was candlelit. It was always on the 13th of December. And she's wreathed in light. And I think we might have talked about this in one of our episodes. But there is Saint Canute.
Oh, boy.
And he comes in on, I believe it's the 13th of January, and he eats all the cookies that are left over.
What? I have never heard of this. Okay, please enlighten me.
So he comes in and he gobbles up all the extra cookies that are still left around. And I'm thinking we all need the St. Canute to come in our house and take out all those goodies.
Please.
Because they're not really that good for us to eat. But I guess in Sweden, the children, or Norway, I can't remember which, don't quote me on this one. But
St. Lucia was Swedish. I remember that from the story you shared.
Swedish. Okay, so it's Canute has to be Swedish, right? Okay, we're going to go with it. So the little children will go to their grandma's house or whatever, and they'll eat the leftover Christmas cookies and things. I'm like, I think that's a great idea. If you want to start on a good foot, because that's what we're talking about today, Carol. We're talking about the joy of being healthy and the ability that we get to exercise. I think sometimes people look at exercise as, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to run on the treadmill, walk on the treadmill, whatever you do. But you should look at it as a gift. There are some people that cannot do that and they would like to do it, but they can't. And so, and there's different limitations. We're going to go into that a little bit more. But I think that maybe just starting with getting out the bad in your house. New year, new cupboard.
Nice. I like it.
New refrigerator, new freezer, right? My motto has always been, if I don't buy it, I won't eat it. Right?
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty true.
Yeah. Well, I really was looking forward to this episode because for me, it's when I'm healthy, I'm joyful, period. When I'm not healthy, I'm ornery. I really am.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not active, if I'm not eating right, your body does not perform well. And that's, from your mind and your physical. So I kind of look at it as physical, mental, and spiritual as I was thinking about this. And I totally hear you on the physical. If you have all the stuff laying around that's not good for you, it's going to affect your joy. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your well-being. And one of the biggest things, like you said, is getting rid of all that stuff. I am one that I have learned over the years, when you want to get rid of something, don't eat it, and to get it out of the house, but actually give it away or throw it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Carol, I have a question. I feel like there's someone in the audience that are going to say, well, I have kids and they will only eat this, or I have a husband that has this and wants that. What do we do under that circumstance?
Oh.
Or it could be like, my wife likes this ice cream every night and I eat with her, whatever. What is a workaround for that?
Sure. Well, the first word that comes to mind for me is moderation. So easier said than done, of course. So it's kind of I think it's really a prayer of we have the fruits of the Spirit, and one of them is self-control. So I think of the prayer to the Holy Spirit and asking for self-control in those areas. That's kind of that's the spiritual part of it. Physically, I would just keep it out of sight and keep it away from me. And I do give stuff away, like keep some for, I had some in the house for my son, and for my husband, and give it away to the neighbor or somebody like that. So that's what I do. And it does take effort. It really takes effort. But that would be my suggestion.
You were talking about portion control, and I do that with treats. So if I want ice cream, I do a pint of ice cream. Yes, it does cost more.
Mhm.
So if you're fiscally minded, that's going to irk you because you can buy the same amount or a bigger amount or double the amount for the same price, but you won't eat as much.
So true.
And maybe picking or what I'll do is I'll go out and get an ice cream cone or something at Dairy Queen or Culver's where it's a small portion. I can only eat that much and that's it.
That's really smart. Yeah. I agree. I
Because
do that too, because if you go, it's like, oh, well, if I get this big bag of Snickers and all these little mini ones, then I can just have those little ones. Well, guess what? Then you got 20 or 30 of them in the bag.
and you eat 7 or 8, 10
Yeah.
of them, and it's probably the equivalent of like a candy bar and a half. So you might as well just get one candy bar and just eat
Exactly.
that.
I have a story. I did this all the time when I was working at a business. We would get donuts. And I'm like, I'm only going to, I'd limit myself, right? I was trying to practice that. I would cut one in half and I would eat that half and I'd walk away. And then I'm like, man, I want the other half. So I'd always go back and get the other half. I'm telling you, self control.
Donuts are my downfall too, I'll give you that. My old job, we used to have donuts, like, all the time, but my desk was far enough away, and then when they gave me my own printer by my desk, which was amazing, and so I didn't have to go buy the office printer, which was always where the donuts were.
Mm.
So when I didn't see them, like you kinda said, out of sight, out of mind, people would say, "Oh, there's donuts up there." But I could keep myself from going there because I wasn't looking at them, I wasn't smelling them, and my printer was, like, a godsend that way. So, like, I think the last, like, 4 or 5 years, I didn't take a donut very often because they came all the time. I felt like reps would bring them in or, someone would have a birthday and they'd have donuts, and so I get it. Like, if you have something that you're like, "I gotta have that," I get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you should deprive yourself off of, like, from everything. Like, if you like ice cream, decide one day a week that is your day to have ice cream. Let's say it's like Friday night after you've had a long work week. You're like, I want ice cream. Go out for ice cream or get that pint of ice cream and enjoy it and savor it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something to look forward to in a work week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is not depriving you from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And other thing is, I always look at get the cleanest ice cream or the cleanest thing you can get, meaning organic, less ingredients. I have a friend that she and her husband eat, I think it's Edie's ice cream because you can read everything on the ingredient list. If you read some of those
Yes.
ingredients, they're like all this other stuff. You're like, what is this? I thought ice cream was just made up of small,
Yeah.
amount. There's other things you can make your own ice
Mm-hmm.
cream too. But again, then you're looking at like size, quantity, that kind of stuff. But
Well, one thing I want to add to that, the whole, okay, I'm going to shoot for Friday and have my treat then. Alternatively, if it's something where you're having a week and you're like, you know what? Or you want to celebrate a win or whatever, and you really want to have an ice cream or whatever it looks like for
Mhm.
you, I say go for it. If it's a Wednesday, just do it. And that's the day that you're celebrating. Do it and have it in moderation. Do the same thing you would have done on Friday, but do it that day. And then, I think when we get caught up in those details of, okay, because I've done this, I'm like, I'm done January 1st, in my past, setting that date, I am done with sweets, period,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
however long, 3 months. And that never works for me because then I'm limited and it never works for me. So it works for me to do when I want to have something, I have it, but I do it in moderation and not a whole bag of something.
Yes. And always pick this is another thing I have had to, like, retrain my brain is I want the more expensive chocolate. I don't want just a Hershey bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm going to have chocolate, I'm going to have dark Ghirardelli chocolate, or I'm going to have Belgium chocolate. I'm going to really splurge on my chocolate if I'm going to have chocolate. And then here it is. It's better for you because it probably has better ingredients,
Mhm,
and you're going to be more satisfied.
mhm.
And that's the thing. You can just take a little bit. Yeah.
And I've heard dark chocolate is better for you too. So I do the
Mhm.
same thing. I switched to dark chocolate years ago.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, there's a lot of options out there. So yeah, I think that's a really good point to be smart about the type that you buy too.
Getting back to my family eats differently than I do, whoever it is. What if you made a pact with the people in your house and said, you get a drawer, you get a cupboard, and there's a lock on it, a padlock. I mean, this sounds extreme, but in some cases it would be great. Everyone else would know the combination but you. If that's
Mm,
a struggle for you, if this is truly a struggle and you're
mm,
like, Bethany, I can't stop thinking about the food behind that cupboard, you can't get in, you don't know the code, then you're stuck, right? You
yep,
can't eat it. Out of sight, out of mind.
yep.
Yeah. I know we're talking about food a lot, and I have struggled with food my whole life. I have a loving relationship with it. I'm such a foodie,
Oh yeah.
but I've been retraining my brain to appreciate food and enjoy it and savor it.
Mm.
Don't just gobble it down. Just enjoy every, bite and chew it longer than maybe you would. The
Eating
other thing.
Yeah, I gotta
Mhm.
interject there. Eating slowly is
Mm,
huge because your body can digest it better and you actually can tell when you're getting full, as you eat slower, rather than eating really fast because then, just keep eating and then all of a sudden you're
mhm,
full and you're uncomfortably full sometimes. And I also wanted to say carrots. I
mm,
learned, carrots are sweet. There's some sweet things out there that are good for you. And if you have like a sweet craving, go for a sweet vegetable or a sweet, a fruit. Because, oh my gosh, raspberries, I buy them all the time because they're so good and they're sweet.
I like blackberries.
And
I just bought
blackberries. Yep.
some.
Those 2 are typically in our house. And then the carrots, of course, because if you are, vegetables are really good for your body. And that's always a good sweet one. And once you start, here's the cool thing. Once you start switching out, the sugar, the bad
Mm,
sugar for the good sugars, it's really actually, you crave it more. And when you go back to like a chocolate bar or something, it doesn't taste, it might taste good, but it doesn't feel as good. Like your body can tell
mhm.
the difference. You can tell.
I agree. So I had a few things that I have done because I'm a single person on my own. A lot of times I'm doing a lot of the household chores and I work, and so it adds up. It starts adding up. And so what is the first thing to go out the window is food for me. It's a convenience thing,
Mm.
Carol. It is I don't have energy. I just worked all day. I've did my laundry, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Or I have an evening activity and I get home so late. So, there are those of us out there that have those kinds of stuff. So, somebody had started Factor Meals, which it is an investment, but a lot of times they'll have deals and they do fresh meals to your doorstep. And
Mm.
you can get, 7 or 12 or I don't know, 5. I mean, they have all different numbers. So I was doing this for lunch. I started it probably in June when I started my new job because I really wanted to, focus on, getting a protein and a vegetable every day. So they have such great food. And then a friend of mine who told me about Factor Meals told me about metabolic meals.
Mm.
And a lot of these have gluten-free or keto diet, and then they have other ones if you want to eat in a calorie deficit. And it's cleaner food. So, meaning it's grass fed beef, it's organic, it is eliminating seed oils from your diet. They are a healthier version. They do cost more. So, I started doing all this, Carol, this summer. And they were awesome. And some of them can be frozen. The metabolic meals are definitely can be frozen. So if you don't have like a week where you can eat all your food, I have frozen them and reheated them. But I looked at these meals and I started going, huh, I think I could make some of these meals. They're not that difficult. It's a protein and usually a healthy starch, and it's limited. And then they have a vegetable. And so I went to the store and I made 20 meals in a matter of 2 days,
Mm.
and I still have a few in my freezer. What I'm saying is I did the planning, I did the research, I spent a whole lot less money, and I had meals, and my coworkers were like, "What are you eating today? That smells really good." Like, they were really like, "Oh, that sounds good." I made, like, a buttered chicken, and I made, open-faced burger with, like, mushrooms and onions, and I put cheese. It was a cheeseburger. And then I did sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts with bacon, and, like,
Ooh,
I
yum.
did some great stuff, and I could use whatever ingredients I wanted to, whether that was, my cold pressed virgin olive oil. I could use whatever
Mhm.
organic produce that I wanted to use. I knew what my meat was. I knew everything that went into my meals. And for that little bit of sacrifice, 2 days, it was probably a day and a half, a total 1 day if you're looking at it. I had food for over 2 months.
Nice. That's a nice way to go because you can plan it all, do it ahead of time, have it ready to go, and you save
Mhm.
time later because you did it all on the weekend or whenever you did have the time.
And you know how easy it was? I just ran downstairs to the freezer, grabbed I was like, "Oh, yep, that's what I wanna eat today," and I threw it in my bag, and it was like lunch was ready to go. And I often will I'll keep Greek yogurt and chia seeds at work
Mm,
in the fridge, and so then I have my breakfast.
right.
And then I always will bring, like, a fruit, whether that's a berry or grape, or I don't do bananas too often.
Don't you find, Bethany, that when you start these better habits, you feel better? You
Yeah.
feel better physically,
Mhm.
right?
And it's all about portion control for me. That's
Yeah.
what I need. And I was gonna say the containers I got were from Amazon. They were called Bentgo, Bentgo. They are pre-portioned. They have different versions of it, but it looks like it's a 80-20 or 90-10. It's 1 cup on one side and 2 cups on the other. And so I'll
Okay.
put my meat and I'll put my veg in the small. And one thing I learned is, Carol, I'm not much of a Brussels sprout fan. I like fresh Brussels sprouts, but I don't necessarily like Brussels sprouts that have been in the freezer. So, like, for me, it was like a learning, like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do that one again, but I really like green beans, or I really like a sweet potato, or I really like broccoli or cauliflower," you know?
Mm,
So you'll find out which vegetables are good. The other thing is, I am one that I don't like to use the microwave. And I certainly am anti-plastic. These are very handy because they freeze well.
mm.
If you wanted to do this, you could do this on a smaller level. You could put them in glass containers if
Sure.
that's important to you.
Yeah, there's Pyrex out there that have all kinds of nice sizes too.
And they have, like, the separation. I've seen those. But I was gonna encourage people, I do not microwave these in that plastic. I I take them out, put them in a glass container, and put them in our toaster oven,
Mm,
and it's like a convection oven. So I
perfect.
warm them up that way. So
Yes.
that's just me. That's how
Mm,
I like it.
mhm.
I would really like to keep the composition of my food. For those of you who don't know, you should do a little research on microwaves. They can take out the enzymes that you need to digest your food. So
Mm.
just be thoughtful of that. I know someone's like, "No, don't take my microwave." I'm not. I'm just saying,
Just
check it out.
check it out. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, did you have another thought on that?
No, that was
Okay,
it.
that is really good. Those are super good tips, and I wanna for sure mention, balancing what we're eating with that activity too for your bodies
Mhm,
because
mhm,
for me, not enough exercise, it makes me crabby. My back hurts because I've always had a chronic back issue since I was in my younger days, and I tell you what, it is something that can be easily managed by getting out and moving. I mean, it can be as simple as walking. It can be as simple as if you have a bike, riding a bike once a day or twice a day, and if I don't do that, I tell you what, crabbiness sets in. I let it. I can feel an edge. Let's put it that way. It's that that orneriness, right? And I'm a mover anyway. I've always been a mover. Some people aren't, some people are, but everybody needs to do some kind of physical activity it helps with your digestion. It helps with so many different ways with your body, your heart getting some cardio, all of those wonderful things that it does. When it's sunny out and you feel that sun on your face, it puts me in a good mood. You feel that the warmth of the sun, especially in the wintertime. Yeah, I would have to say the balance of not or excuse me, the balance of eating right and getting physical activity is so important. Um, and you know what? Setting a goal, setting achievable goals
Mhm.
is super important. Not the over the top ones where, okay, I'm not going to eat any sweets for 3 months, like I was talking about earlier, and I'm going to go for 2 walks a day and a bike ride and, all these things. Make it achievable, something that you can do. And you're going to feel better.
Yeah, start today. Don't start Monday. Don't start tomorrow. Start today.
Yeah.
A lot of times we put off today what we could do tomorrow. And I also want to speak to the person that's like, Bethany, Carol, I am the heaviest I've been. You are preaching to the choir. I am going through 40s, premenopause. The weight does not budge. Don't give up. I don't give up.
Mhm.
I keep working towards goals and I keep resetting them. And if I don't make it, you know what? I don't beat myself up anymore. I say, okay, we're just going to do better tomorrow or the next meal or whatever. And if you have been very sedentary for a while, take a 10-minute walk.
Mhm.
Just say, I'm going to do 10 minutes and do it no matter what the temperature, what's happening outside. I say get outside too. I love the gym, don't get me wrong. I've done the gym for a long time, but when I took some time off from exercise because I remember the exact day I did that, and it was a disservice to myself
Mhm.
more than anything. I was trying to get back to exercising and I would walk the dog, which was he's small, so he doesn't go very far. But I just walked him every day.
Mm.
And then I got to the point where I was like, this isn't enough. I could tell that I needed more. So I hung up the dog leash, which actually I'd walk the dog and then I would take my own personal walk. And I am up to like 4 or 5 miles, Carol. And I started out at like half a mile,
Mm.
maybe.
Nice.
So just know that, your muscles have memories.
Mhm.
And if you used to do lifting weights and that's what I want to incorporate this winter
Mhm.
for myself is weight training because I just want to get stronger.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, some people might be limited to a chair. Like, maybe they
Mhm.
physically can't go walking. There's small weights that you can get just, to lift your arms. Even a soup can, I'm telling you, something with some a little weight, just hold it in your hand and move
Mhm.
it up and down.
Use your kids.
Oh, yeah, use your
My
kids.
mom
"Come here."
my mom used to put us she used to lay on the ground and she would put us on her legs.
Oh,
So, like,
yeah.
if you think about bringing your chin to your chest, she would put us on the bottom part and she would lift her legs up and down. And we thought it was fun.
Oh,
We're
sure.
like, we wanna do it over and over and over again. And that's how she got her exercise. And then sometimes, if you're brave, she'd put us at the bottom of her feet, hold our arms, and, like, stick her feet way up in the air with us. I mean, and I didn't know it was her exercise. It was fun because 'cause you're interacting with your kids and you're exercising.
Your mom was so creative. That's super cool. I remember my mom, she had a one of those things you put on your it was the biggest thing then. It was a trend way back in the day, and you put this rope, this contraption on the doorknob, and then you pull it and your legs go up and all the it's
Oh,
like you're
yeah,
working your whole
yeah.
body. But I thought, "That's kinda weird." Like, it's funky to look at because all of your body parts are moving from this thing on the doorknob, It's just kind of funny. I remember having conversations with her while she was working out. Oh, memories.
Now, when I was go to bed, this is hilarious. So I'm an '80s baby. So Jane Fonda she was into exercise. She had all these videos,
Yes.
VHSs and cassette tapes.
I remember this.
Yeah, we did not have a TV, so mom had a cassette tape, and so I would go to bed listening to her doing her Jane Fonda.
I love it with the leg warmers, right?
Oh, yeah, all the leotard, I mean, everything, and, I mean, my mom was not into all that, but so a lot of times for school, 'cause I was homeschooled, we would do Jane Fonda as, like, our PE or, like, our in the dead of winter when we couldn't go out, it was, like, Jane Fonda, and, like, Jane Fonda actually she had a complete workout, like, legit, it
Mhm,
was she would start with your warm up, I mean, she would warm you up, so a lot of times we do a warm up and then I think arms and legs and then you do a cool down. And sometimes it was too long. Oh, and there was aerobics in there too.
mhm.
But I mean, we would do like a certain amount, like half an hour or whatever. And I'm really glad my mom instilled that in us
Mm.
because I still to this day love being outside. I walk all year round. Now it's darker, so I have my exercise bike back. I was blessed with
Nice.
it back, and that's exciting for me. So I bike now inside, and I wanna start lifting. That's my goal, my 2025 goal. But see, Carol, when I got back into exercise, now it'll be 3 years this coming June, I started walking and getting back to my shape. It's been 3 years, I have not lifted. So what I'm saying is,
Mm,
people, Rome wasn't built in a day.
yeah.
You getting back to where you feel good, it's a gradual process, and don't push yourself to like, you don't wanna hurt yourself,
No.
right? We just wanna work into what we used to do or, and begin to like, my thing is, Carol, you know what I wanna be again? Limber.
Oh, yeah.
I feel
Yes.
so not limber.
Yes.
And I remember when I was stretching, I I could do things that I was like, "Wow." And I'm like, I remember that and I wanna get back to that.
Yes.
And it's just a daily practice of stretching
Yeah.
and maybe just stretch. That's all you can do.
Yeah,
Great.
and if
That's
you're
all you
not
can
sure
do.
where to start too, it's a good place to start is to ask your doctor, what's a
Mm,
really good for me, for you, for you.
yeah.
And then there's so many things on YouTube as for
Mhm.
like say you want to concentrate on one area, cardio or your arms or whatever it looks like. There's a lot of things out there. So that's another good resource to use.
My Instagram reels have a whole page for exercise. Like, I have a whole folder that I've saved.
Oh, nice. Well, and the other
I
thing
feel like the algorithm sees it every once in a while, like, "Oh, she's been looking at a couple of those, we'll send her more."
Oh, I'm sure, right? They glom onto that. The other thing too is you guys get an accountability partner. If you know somebody
Mm,
who is in the same boat as you, that's a perfect opportunity to hold each other accountable and get out there and it's more fun with two people too. I remember a
mm.
time when I would go and work out at a gym and would go with a friend or meet them there and it was just more fun. It makes the time go faster. Now, of course, you can use your wireless headphones or whatever you have, your earbuds or whatever you have, and go for a walk by yourself too. But that's always an option.
I am such a buddy person. I actually when you said that, I was going back through all the gals that I would walk, like, over the course of my I ran with one buddy, Janelle. She was my running buddy. She was so encouraging. She was like, "You're not a long distance runner, you're a sprinter." She used to tell me that because
Mm,
I have long legs. But I actually taught myself how to run long distance. That was awesome. Love that time. Not anymore. I'm not doing that to my body anymore. But the time I did it, it was awesome. And I mean, I was up to like 5 plus miles of
mm.
running, which is like like, it's awesome. And then I have my friend Rachel and Katie. Those were different times. Katie had a baby, and so she couldn't get up at we were getting up at like 5:30. Then I would had Rachel, she was my really good friend. I had Emily. Emily and I used to go to the gym at like 5 in the morning. So
Oh,
I'm an early bird. I'm an early bird.
nice.
And but we had one guy that like we were like the dream team, the 3 of us, because he was always there too. It was this teeny tiny gym in my town, and it was always the 3 of us at 5 AM. No one else was there, and it was really fun because we got to be good friends.
Mhm.
So, I love a buddy. I think that is the best thing, and if you don't have someone, pray. I have prayed a lot for people to come into my life and like, Lord, I need somebody to be there because this stuff is getting too like boring. Because sometimes you got to shake it up because it's boring. Whether you go to the gym and you do the same routine, shake it
Absolutely.
up.
Absolutely. I mean, the Lord is there, the Holy Spirit is there to help you with all of this. I wanted to add this verse to this episode as far as that since you brought it up, but where do you get the strength? Psalms 118:14. The Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. So, he's not our strength only in our spiritual walk, but it's in our physical, in our mental, everywhere we go, whatever we do, he is our strength. I also have to add a story because when you talk about exercise places, I worked at a place 2 doors down. We had Anytime Fitness,
Mm,
and I would go there on my lunch break. or in the morning because it was right there. I mean, it was so awesome. And I was on the elliptical was my fave. And I just went
Mm.
on there for like 20. If I only had 20 minutes, I went on it. If I had 30 minutes, I went on it. But just to get there and do that, it made me feel so much better, even that limited amount of time. So I love that idea. You know, if a gym fits you or just walking outside or whatever it looks like, go for it. It's a great time to do it. Anytime's a good time to do it. Today, today's a good time. Tune in next time for part 2 of Joy, Health, and Wellness.